Go on, prove that you're an audiophile. So, I've heard that Americans really appreciate knobs and VU meters. Now, I didn't make that up. That's a quote from Dan Nigro, who you may know as Olivia Rodrigo's producer. Unless, of course, you haven't progressed musically beyond your Pink Floyd and Grateful Dead vinyls. So what I have for you today is this: 1 knob, 3 buttons and 2 amazing VU meters. A little short in the knob department, if I may say such a thing, but I don't think that any VU lover will be disappointed. Unbox, unbox, unbox. There are 2 types of audiophile. Those who want to build the best possible system, then continue to upgrade it, fine, no problem with that. And those who want to play with the equipment, build it up, change it around, try this, try that, all for the sheer enjoyment of audio equipment. And there's nothing wrong with that either. I think that this, the Fosi Audio LC30, will suit both types of audiophile. You can use it to help build and improve your system, then put it away until your next upgrade plan. Or you can put it at the heart of your system and actively use it to the benefit of your listening experience. So the question is, the question you're asking right now, what is it? What does it do? Let me tease you by saying firstly that it has no watts. It isn't an amplifier. Neither can you plug in your turntable or DAC, no RCA, no USB-C except for power. What you can do, however, is switch between 2 amps or switch between 2 pairs of speakers. Or do both. Surely there isn't an audiophile on earth who wouldn't want to be able to do this. Or a music producer. This is definitely a tool that I would use when I'm creating my irritating unboxing music. Album coming out later this year. So, let's take a look at what we've got. On the back we have 8 pairs of binding posts, or use banana connectors if you prefer. You'll connect your power amplifier, or your 2 power amplifiers, you're an audiophile remember, to the inputs. The outputs go to your 2 pairs of speakers. Now, this might feel a bit weird, connecting the output of your power amplifier to something other than loudspeakers. But professionally, I've been used to working with loudspeaker patch bays, so to me, this seems nostalgically normal. Actually, the LC30 is doing exactly what you could do with a loudspeaker patch bay, but as we shall see, it has some advantages. Let's consider why we might want to hook up 2 amps and 2 pairs of speakers, stating the obvious a bit, but I'll do it anyway. Suppose you have 2 power amps, or 2 integrated amps would work if you remember that you're adding another variable in the preamp sections. You want to know which amp sounds best, or indeed, whether you can hear any difference. So, you connect the outputs of your amps to the inputs of the LC30, and 1 pair of the speaker outputs of the LC30 to your speakers. You're going to have to split the signal going into your amps, so you'll need a pair of Y splitters that you can buy from Amazon, using the handy affiliate links that I've put in the description. If you're the kind of audiophile who prefers their interconnects to cost upwards of $1,000, well, tell us all about that in the comments. So, now that you're connected, turn the VU sensitivity, that's the knob, all the way down. I'd have the amps already turned down. We don't want any surprises. Then switch the LC30 on and select amp A. Turn on your amp A, your Fosi V3 perhaps, and turn it up to your preferred listening level. Then select amp B, your Krell KSA250, and do the same. Now, those VU meters. You can adjust the sensitivity to get a good, strong reading, but not off the scale. You can use them to match the outputs of the amps. OK, you can hear when the amps are the same level, but the human hearing system is notorious for thinking that louder equals better. So visual confirmation is extremely useful. I'd probably want to calibrate on tones, but I doubt whether the average purchaser is going to do that. Now, here's where I need to quibble. Am I quibbling or am I trying to preempt a quibble? Anyway, here goes. These are not VU meters. They look like VU meters, but to be an actual VU meter, there's a strict specification they would have to adhere to. And part of that is that VU meters work at line level, not at speaker level. And a whole lot more. But this is, as I said, a quibble. The meters are there to do a job, and the job gets done, and done as well as any real-world user would need. I might quibble more about the scales on the meters, the upper scale in watts, the lower scale in decibels. Well, if you can adjust the sensitivity, the whole thing just goes out of the window. The scales are meaningless, other than as arbitrary references so that you can match the outputs of your amps. At this point, Fosi's chief design engineer might say to me, well, you think of something better. Nothing's coming. Now, any thinking person might at this point be wondering how the power outputs of the amps are measured. To know the power, you need to know both voltage and current. A simple way would be to put a resistor into the signal flow and measure the voltage it develops, from which you can calculate the current and then the power. But that would ruin any subjective assessment you're trying to make. And also, to hell with the damping factor. Well, I'm going to say that I don't know how the power is measured. But I do know that, professionally, loudspeaker control units can measure power without using a series resistor. Electronics buffs might tell us more in the comments. One more thing I'll throw in here is that the switching is done using relays, not any fancy electronics. Relays are the best. If you're not up to speed with relays, and there's no reason why you should be, a relay is a physical switch operated by an electromagnet. Simple as that. Let's suppose that you're all hooked up with 2 amps, the LC30 and 1 pair of loudspeakers for the moment. As I've said, you'll need to get your amps running at the same level, and you'll use the meters. I've stopped saying VU meters. To help you with that. Now, a bit of magic. There's a remote control. You can sit back in your replica Eames lounge chair, play your music, guessing that you have a remote for that, and click back and forth between your amps to your heart's content. This has got to be the way. I've compared amps by plugging and unplugging, but for an A/B test you want things to be instant, and with the Fosi LC30 it's as instant as a push on a button. I suppose I ought to acknowledge that some audiophiles don't like A/B tests, and they think that you can only assess equipment with extended listening tests. But they stopped watching ages ago, so in the immortal words of Gilbert and George, "Ya boo sucks." So, can you hear the difference between your Fosi V3 and your Krell KSA250? Go and buy the LC30 and tell us all about your experience in the comments. Now, speakers. If you've settled on an amp, then you'll probably want to test different speakers. The LC30 can do this, as I think you know by now. It is a slightly different issue though, because your 2 pairs of speakers are going to be in different positions spatially. And if you place them as close together as you can, well, you're going to alter the sound through reflection and diffusion. So this isn't quite as good a test. But I'll stick to what I often say, that some knowledge is better than no knowledge, and a test that isn't as perfect as you'd like it to be can give you useful insights that you can take forward. For the music producer, though, this is exactly what you want. It's very common to monitor on 2 pairs of speakers, 1 pair big, 1 pair small, usually, or 1 pair reflex, 1 pair closed box. The point is to make sure that your mix sounds good on different systems. You might have equipment that can do this at line level, going to 2 amps and 2 pairs of speakers, but the Fosi LC30 is an excellent alternative and you only need 1 amp. So, I've covered amps, I've covered speakers, but the highest level, most demanding audiophiles will want to match their amps to their speakers. And so with the LC30 you can do exactly this. So you have amp A, amp B, speakers A and speakers B. You can test them in combinations. Amp A, speaker A, amp A, speaker B, amp B, speaker A, amp B, speaker B. Are we having fun yet? Now, I have one more use case for the LC30, and it's actual using, not merely testing. It may be, and for a true audiophile it probably will be, that some speakers suit certain kinds of music. Other speakers, other kinds of music. So, for your classical music needs, you may prefer your vintage quad ESL57s. And for your hip-hop, then of course your Augsburgers. So, yes, this is where the LC30 is ideal. Amps too, if your hearing is that finally resolving. Other than showing you the movement of the lovely meters, VU or not VU, I haven't shown the LC30 in actual use. For the purpose of this review, I can say that it does everything it claims to. It has a very nice look and feel, and you will be very happy having it on display for all to see. And for the money, I can't see how anyone could be disappointed. I would caveat that slightly by saying that with near-field monitors where I don't need much level, the meters could be more sensitive, even on maximum sensitivity. But if you're belting out the watts on your home cinema system, you'll probably be fine. That's for the review. Outside of this, I plan a future video where I will test the LC30 to compare amps. I'm choosing amps rather than speakers because we all know that speakers sound different. But amps, well, we expect them to sound much more similar to each other, perhaps to the point where there's no audible difference at all. But I have a test where there damn well should be a difference, and I'm going to see if I can hear it, using the Fosi Audio LC30. Any comments you want to make before I do this, well, let me know in the comments. As always, Fosi sent me this item, but other than that and any affiliate links, there's no payment involved and I can say what I like, and I've said it. See you soon.